8-year-old comes to school with a frozen head, and when the teacher looks closer, his heart breaks. In life, education is probably the most important thing to get a job and secure a good future. Unfortunately, many people in the world do not have the opportunity to get an education and prepare for a successful life. Others, however, who do have the opportunity and attend a public school do so in conditions that are so terrible that it is extremely difficult for students to learn anything of value. Schools with tattered books, dilapidated facilities, and where teachers have no incentive to teach their students, resulting in ignorant children condemned to a future of poverty and low-paying jobs. All this leads us to the heartbreaking story we're going to explain today, in which the determination of a child and his capacity for sacrifice show us once again that our destiny in life is not always determined by the place we are born, but by the decisions we make to change our luck and the courage we show to face any adversity that comes our way. The protagonist of our story is an 8-year-old Chinese boy named Wang Feng, whose mother recently abandoned his family, forcing his father to look for a new job to support Wang and his siblings without anyone's help. His family was originally from a small province in China, a very poor place where there is hardly any work, which is why his father had to go to the city to look for work and thus be able to support his family. While his father worked in the city, Wang had no choice but to go live with his grandmother, a woman in her 70s named Zhao. Wang had always had a very good relationship with his grandmother. She was a very sweet and loving woman who loved to take care of her family. However, the grandmother lived more than 5 kilometers away from Wang's school, and to make matters worse, she didn't drive and had no license. On the other hand, Wang was already noticing that his grandmother was starting to get older and couldn't be able to take care of him and his siblings as she'd like. The woman was beginning to go deaf and had many mobility problems due to the arthritis she'd been suffering from for years. Still, Zhao remained strong and optimistic, and when her son asked her to take care of her grandchildren, she didn't hesitate for a moment to accept and offer her help. Wang was a very good and intelligent child. He'd never had any problems with any other children, nor had he ever had to be scolded for mischief. His parents had raised him well, and although he knew it would be very difficult, his dream was to become a businessman, to be the head of his own company, and to lift his family out of misery. Wang's passion was mathematics. He could spend hours doing operations and solving very complex exercises without getting tired. At his school, the teachers were very impressed by his progress and said that if he continued at that pace, he would soon have to attend advanced classes because the level of the children of his age was too low and he would stagnate. However, just as that was about to happen and Wang was about to start taking classes in a higher grade, his mother abandoned him and his whole life changed completely. But he was not going to give up so easily. One of the main problems Wang would have to face in his new life would be finding a way to get to school every day. The village where he lived had few resources and there was no bus line to take children from the suburbs to the downtown area where the school was. The only way to get there was to walk. Wang was not willing to miss school, so he had to pluck up the courage to walk the 5 kilometers from his grandmother's house to school every day. During the warmer seasons, there was no problem. Wang walked 4 hours a day to school in order to receive his education. However, during the winter, his 4 hours of walking was terribly hard on the boy. Winters in northern China can be very cold, reaching temperatures of more than -5 degrees Celsius daily. His grandmother didn't understand the determination that led a boy of only 8 years old to take such a risk and asked him every day to stay at home, because she feared that someday he would not return and would die on the way because of the cold. "Honey, why don't you stay home? I don't think it's that important you go to school every day. It's freezing cold and you could freeze to death out there. Please listen to me and stay here with me and your brothers." His grandmother begged him nearly every day as she watched Wang bundle up in what little clothes he had and carry his backpack on his back. "No, Grandma, I can't stay here doing nothing. My duty's to go to school and keep learning," the boy repeated to her every day without a hint of doubt. Wang was not going to give in, and although he knew that his grandmother worried every time he left, he was not going to stay at home watching his future vanish before his eyes. "Why is it so important for you to go to school, Wang? Is it because of your parents? Do you feel you owe them? Do you think it's your fault your mother left? Because if it is, I assure you you're not to blame for anything that happened, sweetie. You don't have to work twice as hard to make them happy. You've done nothing wrong. You're a good boy and a good son. Always remember that," his grandmother told him, trying to find out how he felt and the reason why he was taking such risks. But she didn't succeed. Wang was very reserved on a personal level, and since his mother left, he hadn't talked about it with anyone, not even his father. His grandmother didn't need any more worries, so he just avoided her questions and walked out the door. "It's nothing like that, Grandma. I'm fine, I assure you. I don't know why Mom left, and I don't know if she's coming back. I just want to be a normal kid and go to school like everyone else. I like to study, that's all." He hugged her for a few moments, then left, exposing himself once again to the freezing with hardly anything to keep warm. Wang was not going to give up in his determination to continue studying and to become a successful student and have the opportunity to enter a university in the country. He dreamed about it every day and also to stop being cold and hungry. He didn't want his grandmother to continue living in a house without heating, nor did he want his father to have to work far away from his family to survive. His dream was to take care of his family, but to do that he had to go to school first. There was no other way, and he would do it even if he had to go to class with frozen hands and no feelings in his toes. Wang hung in there for weeks and walked the road to school every day without complaint. Everything seemed to be going well until one day the cold was too strong and Wang could not take it anymore. It was January and the news had warned that it would be the coldest day in recorded history. Wang's grandmother begged him not to go to school because she was afraid that Wang would not be able to stand the cold temperatures and would end up in tragedy. But Wang didn't give in and told his grandmother that he couldn't miss school that day because he had an important math test. "Wang, please don't go. Please stay and go when the weather gets better. I'm sure the school will understand." Xiao begged her grandson when she saw him dressed like every day and ready to go outside with his backpack and coat. "I can't stay at home, Grandma, just not today. I have to take a very important math test. I'll be fine, I promise." "Don't promise me something you can't know. You're only 8 years old and I can't go with you. You'll be alone out there for hours. How can you tell me everything will be all right?" replied the grandmother, who was beginning to be very nervous when she saw that her grandson refused to listen. "I don't know. I only know that I'll go there and take the exam no matter what. I promise I'll be back, Grandma. Take care of the house and my brothers. I'll be fine." He gave her a quick kiss on the cheek and quickly walked out the door before his grandmother could answer him again. Against Grandma's wishes, Wang left the house and set out on the long and arduous walk to school. Although he knew it would be cold, he was not prepared for how cold it would be on that journey. Wang had never felt so cold, but even then, when his feet were starting to go numb and it was hard to keep his eyes open, he didn't give up. As he walked, his hair froze completely, as did his eyebrows. He could barely see anything, and it had been hours since he'd stopped feeling his fingers and toes. Finally, Wang managed to get into the school and arrive in time to take his exam. However, when he walked into class, his whole head was frozen. All the children were looking at him, and his teacher was shocked to see him enter. "Wang, what happened to you? Are you alright? Can you hear me, boy?" his teacher said to him in alarm as he rushed towards him to check his condition. Wang didn't answer. He was too tired and felt his whole body start to come back to life as he warmed up inside the building. His teacher walked over to him very scared, thinking the worst, but as he got closer, he realized that he actually only had frostbite in his hair. After removing the ice from his hair and eyebrows, Wang looked at his professor and said only one thing. "Professor, can I start taking my exam now? I don't want to waste any more time." His teacher couldn't believe his ears but didn't dare to deny him his right to sit for his exam. The bravery that little boy had shown to get to school was worthy of a hero. The least he could do was to let him take his exam and then help him with whatever he needed. Wang sat at his desk ready to take the math test he prepared so hard for. His cheeks were starting to burn and he couldn't even hold his pencil to take the test. However, that didn't stop Wang, who, with what little mobility he had left in his hands, grabbed the pencil and somehow took the test, and even finished it long before the rest of the kids in his class. It was amazing. After taking the test, and despite the fact that Wang showed incredible determination and amazing stamina, his teacher was very concerned about the whole situation and took Wang to the principal's office to try to find a solution so something like this wouldn't happen again. "Wang, can you answer me with complete sincerity? If you don't want to, don't tell me anything, but I have a duty to ask and know the truth." Wang nodded seriously because deep down he already knew what his teacher was going to act next. "You walked all the way to school by yourself? I understand you live with your grandmother more than 5 kilometers away. Do you walk from there every day?" asked the teacher in a calm tone so as not to make the boy uncomfortable. "That's right, teacher. I walk every day no matter if it's hot or cold, without stopping so I can do my classes and not stop learning." "Are you going to punish me?" Wang said, looking at him with concern. "Of course not, boy. Don't worry, nothing like that's gonna happen. Come with me, let's find a solution to all this right away," he said in a reassuring tone as he led him to the principal's office. Seeing the boy, the principal was as concerned as the teacher and took a picture of Wang to try to raise awareness and get the school to provide some of transportation for underprivileged children like Wang. The principal posted Wang's photo on social media through the school's page and it immediately went viral. Wang's story received hundreds of thousands of comments and likes in just a few days, and the post began to receive expressions of sympathy and support from all corners of the globe. Everyone wanted to help children like Wang so that they would never have to experience a similar situation again. In the post next to Wang's shocking photograph, the director wrote, "This boy risked his life just to take a test at school. Most of us living in more fortunate circumstances would have taken the day off, waited until it was warm and gone to take the exam without almost having to die." After that morning and after becoming viral news, Wang's life and the lives of many other children who were also unable to go to school changed completely. The school received several donations with which they were able to create a bus transportation service for all the children who live far away from the school. In addition, as if that were not enough, Wang got the best grade in his class in the exam he took, completely frozen, and a few months later, he managed to get into a class with a higher level in order to receive an education appropriate to his faculties. Wang's story is the reality of hundreds of children who, like him, are not lucky enough to live in the right place. His bravery shows us that although life is not always fair, with effort and determination, we can overcome adversity and find a new path that brings us better luck. Did you like this touching and surprising story? If so, we invite you to leave us a comment expressing your opinion. If you want to continue enjoying inspiring stories like this one, subscribe to our channel or check out the other videos shown at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for your cooperation.